Hey everyone, Tina Hogan Grant here with my Cuppa A Natter that I like to do twice a month on a Monday. I like to invite authors into my home. We talk about books, writing, life as an author. And this evening I have award-winning author Gail Priest joining me. How are you this evening, my dear?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing good. I'm excited to talk to you and congratulations on your awards. You have got quite a few awards, even Writer of the Year.
Yes, thank you.
Congratulations.
Oh,
Before we
I
get
appreciate it.
started, Before we get started, can you just give us a little background, including where you're from, that
Mhm.
you feel comfortable sharing with the rest of the world?
Okay, I'm a Jersey girl. You can take the girl out of Jersey, but you can't take the Jersey out of the girl. So it's there forever. I've lived in New Jersey my entire life. I spent a lot of years part time in Maryland on the Eastern Shore of Chesapeake. And that was wonderful. It was like having a home away from home, and we were right on the water in a
Wow.
little cottage community. I'm married. My husband's Gary. We have a little Havanese dog. I used to be a full time teacher and guidance counselor. I've done a lot of theater work. And once I retired from full time teaching, I became an adjunct at a university near here, actually, where I did my undergrad degree. And I teach theater and theater education courses, which I love.
You have quite the career. Congratulations. And when
Thanks.
did you start? When did you decide or found the joy for writing novels?
When we were at the cottages, I had written some plays and a screenplay before then, and that was around 2000. And that's when we started renting down on the Chesapeake Bay. And I was so moved by the environment and the beauty of it that a concept started coming to me for a story, but it was presenting itself as a novel and not as a stage play. I felt a little panicked by that, but I figured it out. And that's when I wrote the first book, Annie Crow Knoll's Sunrise in the Annie Crow Knoll trilogy.
Congratulations. And did you know when you started writing the first book that it was going to be a trilogy, or did that just
No,
unfold as you were writing?
I did not know at all. I had a very, very long book,
Hmm.
and I hired an editor, and she said, "It's too long. You can't, your first novel can't be, over 100,000 words."
Whoa.
So she wanted me to cut a lot. And I could see where some things needed to be removed, but I didn't want to lose the whole big second section.
Right.
So
It's a lot of
that's when
work.
I said to her, "What if I make it 2 books?" And she said, "That's a great idea." So I pieced everything together so I could have a romantic solution at the end of the first book for Annie. And then the second book really focuses on her son. And I thought that was it. But then the granddaughters started talking to me. They were young adults, and that's the third book, Moonrise. But
So you
Annie's in all of them.
So you answered my next questions. Your characters talk to you and they tell you your stories.
They
Don't you just
definitely talk
love
to me.
that?
They do.
They do, don't they? So I'm assuming, I might be totally wrong. You're a pantster when it comes to writing. You let your characters tell you the story. Do you ever plot your books in any shape or form?
I do eventually. I try to get the first draft out to just see what happens and not
Hmm.
worry too much about how it's going to all go. But eventually, I will start plugging the pieces in, if you will.
Okay,
Um,
filling in the gaps.
and sometimes I'll do an untraditional outline like a mind map where I have arrows and circles and different colored markers. And it just sort of looks like chaos. But for me, it really pulls everything to the center and I get an idea of what's happening.
Do
That's
you
what I do with
ever
soul dancing. I did a mind map and I found out so many things by doing that. It was
by
really fun.
digging deeper than what they told you? Do you ever know how the book's going to end, or are you completely surprised?
Well, that's a great question. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. Sometimes they surprise me.
Hmm.
When you read Soul Dancing, there's a big plot twist in the middle, and that was a total shock to me. I had no idea.
I love it when that happens, though. I love it. I just talked to. I mentioned to my read. I am trying to get this work in progress finished. I've been nagging about it for the past month, saying I need to finish this. They won't shut up. They keep talking to me, blah, 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 blah. And out of nowhere, the characters from the first book in the series showed up in this book. And I didn't know it's going to be a series. I thought it would be a standalone within a series theme. Okay. But no, she just showed up. So now I said, okay, we have a series unfolding. But I love it when it happens. I really do. Before we start talking about your latest book, which is Soul Dancing, I just want to go through and say hello to some of our readers that are joining us. Again, I am talking to Gail Priest from New Jersey. She's a Jersey girl. We're going to be talking about her latest book, Soul Dancing. If you have any questions for Gail, go ahead and pop them up in the comments, and I will get to, as you know, as many as I can. But let's see who is joining us. We have Virgie Lane. She says hello. Hi. I'm just going to go down the line here. We have Belinda. Hey, Belinda. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Belinda.
And we got Karen Geeling.
Yeah, Karen. Oh, my gosh.
You know some of these people, huh?
Thank you, Barbara.
From Florida. And we have Carol. She says hello. I'm just going to scroll. We have Renee. Hey, Renee. And then we have Becky. There's Becky Weisner. Hey, Becky. We have Laurel. Okay, I see some questions popping up. I want to get to those in a little bit. Yeah. Before we go to the questions, let's see that beautiful cover of your book, Soul Dancing. So this is your latest book. Now, when did this come out? I love that cover.
Oh, I can't tell if you
there we go. We got it. Yes, we got it.
I love the cover too, and that came out last May, so I'm pretty close to my first
almost
anniversary.
A year. Yeah, I bet that's gone by quick.
It has. Oh, yes. So
now,
busy.
Soul Dancing, without giving too much away, can you just give us a little background on the book?
Sure. Charlene is a 90-year-old woman who is dying from cancer. She feels that she doesn't want to leave her husband. She's very enmeshed with him in their relationship, and she feels like she needs to take care of him. He's 93. So when she sees the light, she refuses to go to the light because she has to take care of Stan. And she ends up kind of in a vortex, and then she ends up in the body of a 20-year-old giving birth.
Oh, my goodness. So
she gets a second chance at motherhood, which is a part of the whole second chance theme of the novel. And the baby is kind of abandoned by her parents, and her uncle, Cameron, is who wants to raise her. And he and Charlene, well, first of all, he thinks she's Rain. He thinks she's his sister-in-law, but not married, but her brother's girlfriend that he abandoned when he found out she was pregnant. But her personality starts changing because it's really someone else in there. And he starts becoming attracted to her. Very complicated.
Very complicated, but just an unusual subject.
It is.
Very unusual. So my next question is, what inspired this one?
I'm sorry?
What inspired this book?
Oh, it was a crazy thought I had. I all along, I have felt that it was just a gift from Providence or something, that I came up with an idea. I thought to myself, wouldn't it be interesting if an older woman got a second chance at everything? Mm-hmm. And that she ended up being in the body of a younger woman in order to have those chances. Wow. So it was a gift. It just came to me.
It's a very deep subject because the contrast of the two characters, to blend them together, is a challenge.
It is. And what's really exciting is the audiobook just came out last week or the week before.
Oh, congratulations.
And thank you. And the voiceover actress had to do Charlene and Rain and figure out how to distinguish them. And that was very cool. I'm really happy with that.
And she did a good job?
Oh, yeah.
She did
Great
a good
job.
The cover, who did you have any say? Let's see that beautiful cover one more time. Did you have any say in the cover?
I did. This was published by Red Adept Publishing. It's a small house down in the Carolinas. And they hire, I'm looking for the name of the group because it's not in my head. They hire a wonderful group to do their covers. It's here somewhere, but I'll find it. Ah, there it is. Streetlight Graphics.
Oh, okay.
So they gave me some ideas, and I was pretty happy with them. But my publisher was like, "No, it's not strong enough yet." And I was so grateful because she kept bugging them to try this, try that, and we kept going back and forth. And they finally came up with this concept of having the shadows kind of
the girl,
other souls, if you will,
right,
going into the body. So I loved it. I loved the beachy theme because my Annie Crow Knoll trilogy is all on the eastern shore of Maryland. So that's all water-based. So I put this in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, and also the Philadelphia area. So it has 2 locations, but a lot of it's down at the shore.
Perfect. And the title, Soul Dancing, I love that title. I now that you've explained a little about the book, it makes a lot of sense with that title. Did you have that title before you started writing, or did it just come to you when you were writing?
No, I started with Soulmates because I thought that Shirlene would choose between Stan and Cameron as which one was her soulmate, because she really loves her husband, Stan. They have unresolved stuff, which they get to resolve because she gets to come back. And then there's Cameron. And as the characters started talking to me about the novel and I'm writing, I learned, because they learned, that you can love more than one person deeply. So it wasn't like a choice sort of thing. Right. Who was her real soulmate? They were both her soulmates. So I kept playing around with the word soul. My husband would tease me, "What's it called this week, Gail?" And I finally landed on soul dancing because of the changes with the
changes. That's why it made a lot of That's why it made sense to me, because she, dances, around. Yeah, I thought it was a perfect title. I really was. You mentioned your husband asking about the title. Does he read your work?
Yes. He's always the first one to read it. Not the first draft, but the second draft, I finally am ready for him to read. And he's very helpful. He's very honest with me. I have a Christmas novella, and in it I had someone who died from suicide. And he said, "Gail, you have to get rid of that as a Christmas story."
Oh, good point.
So I did.
Very good.
That topic may show up in another novel down the road, but not the Christmas story.
Very good advice from hubby. I love that. And you're braver than me. My husband doesn't get a book until it's in print. Oh. He doesn't see all the red ink and the marks and the errors and the grammar, fixes that I need to do. So he gets it in print. So
every relationship is different in how you work together.
But like he reads all my work. He reads all my work, and I like the feedback. I do. Aww. I do. So, and in fact, Ways and Memories, the one I showed you, we wrote that one together.
Yes.
Yeah, we wrote that one together. We actually sat down and figured out which stories you wanted to tell, and that's a lot of fun writing with him. Whether I'll do it again or not, maybe we'll see.
I think that's great.
It is. It was a lot of fun. It really was. Back to Soul Dancing. I'm assuming this is a book that you didn't plot, because we talked about whether you're being a pantser. So when you started writing this, I'm just trying to get in your mind when you had this idea, which character came to you first? The main character?
Shirlene, yes.
Shirlene. Mm-hmm. And you had no idea where the book was going, or about her dancing, I want to call it, her traveling. You must have been shocked when it started unfolding.
It really was fun. It was the most fun book to write. And I fell in love with Shirlene and Stan and their relationship. And Stan makes some mistakes, but he's very sympathetic. You really love him. And then Cameron is this great young man. I was at a book club a couple of weeks ago, and there were several young women in the book club. And they were like, "We just love Cameron. We'd like to meet someone like Cameron. He's such a good guy." And I thought that was so sweet. I put him through his paces, though. I really torture him, the poor kid. But he is a real good guy. And then Charlene's best friend, Hattie, she was the easiest character I've ever written. And I love her. She's really my favorite character in Soul Dancing.
I was going to ask you, do you have a favorite character? Most people say the main character, but not for you.
Hattie.
No. Now, is this a standalone or is it going to be a book 2?
No, it's a standalone.
Really?
Yeah, as far as I know, they stopped talking to me. So,
well, don't jinx it, because you never know. You might wake up tomorrow and go, "Damn it!" And I should have kept quiet about that one. I want to just get into some questions here real quick.
Yes.
Renee wants to ask, do you ever argue with your characters?
Oh yes, I do, Renee. I really do. I think it should go a certain way, and they start telling me it's some other way. Like the whole twist in the middle of Soul Dancing, I did not plan. That's not what I thought was going to happen at all.
Right.
But it did. And I'm so grateful that I listened to the characters, because it caused a whole scenario transition and a second half of the story that I didn't know was there.
Right. And that's one thing I always tell myself. And in fact, I did a little short reel on it just last week. But like you, I listen to my characters, I tell their stories, and I might not like something they're doing, but I go with it.
Yeah.
Because it's their story. And later on in the book, like you just said, it made sense. So I've learned not to, I try and argue with them, but it's a lost cause. And I don't change it because it doesn't sound real. It just does not sound like part of the story. It's like you just drop something in and it doesn't work. So yeah, I've learned the hard way. Don't argue with the characters. You might not like what they're doing, but just go along with it.
I have to go with them.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah. And then another question based on your characters is from Karen. She's asking, are your characters based on family or friends?
Good, Karen. That's a great question. I would say more friends than family, but that doesn't mean someone from my family wouldn't sneak in there.
Right.
I'm open to anybody, and I love to watch people, and I pay attention and I listen, and I have a counseling degree, so I really look at behaviors and choices. So the thing I would say, though, is that when someone inspires a character, the character then becomes their own.
True.
And I don't believe that the person that inspired the character would ever recognize themselves in the story.
That's a good point. That's a good point. How about yourself? Do you put any of your own traits in your books?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my best friend is listening to the audio of Soul Dancing, and she's real happy with it, which is good. But also she'll hear things from the two actors, the two narrators, and she'll go, "Oh, that's Gail."
Oh, she recognizes. She recognizes. Now, you mentioned that your husband reads your books. Virgie's asking, do any other family members read your books other than your husband?
My brother does. Nice. I don't have. My parents are gone. One of my other brother's gone. So there's Jim, and he reads my books. My nieces, I don't really think they read my books. The oldest one is a reader, and she might, but I don't hear about it from them. So I guess not.
Okay. I just want to Laurie's here. I wanted to say hello to Laurie. She is here. And then Virgie says that you are a new author to her. So I love introducing you to new authors.
Thank you.
Laurie has a question. She wants to know, who was the biggest inspiration? That's a good question for your writing.
Wow. Okay, I would start with playwrights, because that's where I started in theater and as an actor and a director and teacher. And eventually I wrote a couple plays. So my favorite playwright is Tennessee Williams, as far as men, and Tina Howe as far as women. And both playwrights really deal with family dynamics and dysfunctional families. And I have a lot of inspiration from my counseling psychology degree in that area of family therapy. So, yeah, that would be my main inspiration.
That's great. And I'm going to stay with this playwright subject because we had talked a little bit before we went live that you actually had a play or wrote a play that was actually what's the word, production in
Yes.
Ohio.
Yes.
So I just want you to tell me exactly what you told me behind the scenes. Now, just based on your experience, number one, of actually writing a play, having it produced, watching it unfold,
Mm.
is such a different experience than writing a novel. Just fill us in on what it was called and the experience you had of watching your play being acted.
It's a great experience, and the cast picture is right across on my office wall over there. I can wave to them. It really was helpful that I kind of grew up in the theaters since high school, and I like that collaborative factor in theater. People say, well, what happens if you don't like what the director chooses or you don't like one of the actors? Well, that's part of the deal. You let go of it. Like you would if you were lucky enough that your book was picked up and made into a film or a limited series. I'm not going to argue with anybody if that happens.
Not with that nice check.
I'm just going to be thankful. So, yeah, I submitted the play to the New Play Festival out there that they do every year. And Ava's Piano, which is semi-biographical. I wrote it the year after my mother passed away. And my mother was a pianist and a piano teacher. And her name was Ada. So I changed it to Ava, which was actually her aunt's name. So the main character of Joy was quite a bit like me. And it's the first thing I ever really wrote. So of course, they're going to be more like me. You're really processing your own grieving, if you will. And it helped a lot to write that play. A lot of what happens to Joy is not biographical, but the beginning seed of this woman in her 40s losing her mom was me. And the set was my mother's living room.
Oh, wow.
And it was so fun to walk into that theater and see my mother's living room.
That is so cool.
They totally got it. That was a great surprise. And I loved hearing the audience laugh. It's like when you're on stage and you make them laugh.
Something you wrote. And
Energy.
and people are acting your words.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. That is just wonderful. And this brings me to the next question. We're talking about your play, how you had your mother's living room, blah, blah, blah. Renee says, are your books based on any events in your real life?
Well, that first play definitely was. The Annie Crow Knoll trilogy, the setting of the Chesapeake Bay, right on the headwaters where the Sassafras River comes in, all 5 rivers come in there, but our cottage was part of a cottage community of these cute little cottages. There are 13 or 14 of them. They were all built in the 1940s, real retro, very simple, tiny little bathroom, one little shower, 1 or 2 bedrooms. It's almost like camping, glamping, I guess you'd say. And that time that we spent down there, it was about 17 or 18 years part-time. Well, I would go all summer because I was teaching. The day school ended, I was just down there, and Gary had to come see me because I was not coming home. I loved it there. So my life experience of being there and swimming and walking and kayaking and bird watching, all that greatly influenced the Annie Crow Knoll trilogy. But the events in the book aren't really from my life. They were just what the characters
just
decided.
the settings that you see. Beautiful. Beautiful. I love kayaking. My husband's a falconer. We love birds.
Oh, yes. I think I've seen you've posted that you have had a bird inside.
Oh, Bob, that was our peregrine. Yeah, he likes to bring the birds in to socialize. But
and your dog is Jack, right?
Jack is a Brittany. He's a bird dog. Yeah. And we're also teaching him to have manners around the falcons and to show them respect.
Okay.
which he's doing very well with.
Good.
But yeah, he's a professional falconer. We have 4 falcons. And
Wow.
what a way to make a living, huh? Flying birds all day. I'm jealous. I'm jealous. Okay. Question from Becky. Have you ever finished a book and thought I needed to start again? Something isn't right. What a horrible feeling that would be, especially after you've finished.
Becky, that's a great question. I would say I've experienced that during the process, but pretty much. Boy, that is such a good question, Becky. I think that big plot twist that the characters gave me, it was like whiplash in the middle of soul dancing. I had to change a lot to have the second part because I realized that there was going to have to be another soul switch. And who was that going to be, you know? So I took a character from...
That would be a good title of a book too.
What would be?
Soul Switch.
Soul Switch. I had to take a character from the beginning and change her quite a bit in order for her to be the right model.
Wow. So, I mean, you did have to make some changes then.
Yes. So there were times, Becky, when I felt like I have no idea what the heck I'm doing and maybe I should just throw it out and start over. But usually I get back on the horse, you know. I get over it.
When you're writing your first draft, we all have different ways to write our first draft. When you write your first draft, do you ever go back and reread what you've written, or do you just keep writing?
Yeah, I keep writing.
Yeah, I'm the same way. If I go back and start rereading, not only do I start doubting what I've written, I start questioning it. I end up, if I make one change, that's it. The next 3 hours, I'm changing this, I'm changing that, I'm changing that. I won't do it. I won't.
Because what happens to me, it probably happens to you too, Tina, is I can't write whatever is going to come next because I'm caught up with the past thing I'm editing. It's not a time to edit. It's a time to get it out.
Just get the story out there, get the bones of the story. And like you said earlier, go back and fill in the gaps, put in more detail. I mean, I have a bunch of X's in my first draft, which I'm so close to finishing. Just a bunch of X's in red because it's a character that's talking, but I can't remember his name. He was in chapter 2. I'm on chapter 54. I'll look him up later. You know, I just do things like that. So
I do too. Or I'll make a tiny little note, go back and check blah, but keep writing.
Yeah, so and then there's another part of the book where I need to know the amount of miles from X to X. It's just a red line. Look it up. That's it.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, we're very much alike, Tina.
Yeah, we are. Okay, I got one more question I want to put up real quick. This was Lori. Does your family read your books? We had that one. Okay, never mind. Now we are at the top of the half hour, should I say, and we have a treat. I love these treats for our readers and myself, but you are going to read to us.
I am.
So I'm going to hand it over to you. You're going to read. I am from Soul Dancing, correct?
I am. And the book is told in 2 points of view, Charlene and Cameron. Well, on Rain, there's actually 3. I forgot, poor Rain. This is from Cameron's point of view, and it's fairly early in the novel. And he thinks he's with Rain, his brother's abandoned girlfriend. She has just given birth. But the audience knows that it's not Rain anymore. It's Charlene, but Cameron doesn't know that. Rain, what the hell is going on? My voice is angrier than I intended. She avoids eye contact. I have something to tell you. Rain looks both ways before crossing the street and going into Washington Square. I follow her to a quiet spot, wondering what bomb she's about to drop. Rain settles on a park bench. Please, she pats the spot next to her. I sit. She clasps her shaking hands together and settles them in her lap. She crosses her legs at the ankles. For several moments, she doesn't say a word. What's going on? Why are you so different? Why were you at Jefferson Hospital? Come on, spill. I'm not sure I know how to tell you this. Well, you have to. Just spit it out. What the hell's going on with you? I ask. Rain bites her lip. All right, let's start with why you writ Jeff. Is there anything wrong? Are you sick? No. Did you go there yesterday too? I ask. Yes. Okay. Were you visiting someone in the hospital? Yes. I'm going to lose my control if I have to keep prodding her. Who? My husband. I leap to my feet. What? A lady walking her French bulldog glances our way. Sit down, Rain whispers. I have no desire to sit, but I do, clenching my jaw. It's not what you think. She straightens on the bench. My head is about to explode. You're married? Is the baby his? No. Is it Chase? Yes. Well, I guess so. You guess so? My heart is pounding in my chest. I wonder if it's possible for a man to have a stroke before he's 30. She blurts out, I don't know for sure because I'm not Rain. What the hell are you talking about? She clasps and unclasps her hands again. Rain is gone. She died in a delivery room. Have you lost your mind? You're sitting right next to me. I'm not Rain, she repeats. I died too. Well, I left my body at any rate and saw the light, but fought it because I thought my elderly husband couldn't manage without me. Then, somehow, she takes a deep breath. I was transported into Rain's body during her final moments of labor. When Rain let go, I took over. She begins to cry again. And now Stan needs hospice. I want to bring him home to take care of him. Stan is your husband? I can't believe I'm asking this as if the situation is normal or even plausible, but I can't have her crying. I'm overwhelmed with the need to comfort her, but I'm too pissed to think straight. She nods and runs her wrist under her nose. And who the hell are you? Sorry. Who are you? My name is Shirlene Foster. I instinctively shift away from her on the bench. I'm not sure who Arlene's father is. Only Rain could tell you. But 9 months ago, I was in my own body dealing as best I could with cancer. I hesitate to ask, but the situation is so absurd that I do. How old are you? I'm 90. I notice I'm tapping my right heel, a nervous habit I stopped back in my teens. I settle my foot on the ground. This isn't happening. Tell me about it. 1 minute I'm in excruciating pain. It melts away and I'm seeing a bright light. After that, I'm in a nauseating vortex. Then I have labor pains in a body with tattoos and enough piercing holes to sink a ship. She finishes her rant and her voice softens. But I have a baby. Her turquoise eyes meet mine. Arlene is amazing. Totally. She briefly touches my hand and energy flutters in my chest. If it's not a stroke, it's the beginning of a heart attack. I slip my hand away. I can't help myself. Rain, is this some kind of sick joke? I'm not Rain, and I'm not sick or insane. This is absolutely terrifying, and I need you to believe me.
Oh, wow. Keep going. Don't stop.
No, that's a good spot to
That
stop.
was very good. I want to put up some comments in a minute from the readers, but I do want to pop this up before I lose it from Elaine. She says, I wanted to let the authors know that that I'm reading this book and I'm loving it. Also, I told a friend about it. She picked it up, and yeah, my cousin has also picked it up. Love it. I'm glad it's on Kindle Unlimited.
Yeah.
So I did want to pop that up before it disappeared into my comments here.
Thank you for telling people about my book. That really helps.
Yes, the readers are the best. Word of mouth is the best. You love a book, not only please leave a review, but let your friends know, your husband know, your neighbors know.
Yeah.
Just let them know. Lori says, I enjoy hearing an author read from their work. Lori says, I loved your reading.
Aw.
And then we have Renee says, wow, wow, wow. And then we have another wow from Karen. And then Virgie says, this is awesome. I want to read it.
Great.
Thank you for reading from Barbara. A couple more. Let's see. Here we go. And then Belinda said, "This is awesome. I have got to read this book." So there we go. Thank you so much for reading. I love it. Renee also says, "Oh my goodness, that sounds so good." I saw a question back here. Once it goes off my screen, I have a hard time finding them.
Yes.
And I'm sorry for the reader that asked the question. When we're talking about your writing, we know that you're a pantser, your characters talk to you. One reader had asked, "Do you have a favorite place to write?"
Well, if I had my druthers, I'd be sitting on the dock at the cottages in the Chesapeake Bay. But we gave up the cottage. But that was, for years, that was where I wrote. And I wrote all summer long. And I would get up every morning and sit on the porch and look at the water and write. I mean, it couldn't be any better than that. Now that we're not Eastern Shore folks anymore, Knollers, we call ourselves Knollers because it's
Knollers.
Evergreen Knoll.
Okay.
That's the name
Yeah,
of
that's
the
interesting.
cottage community, and then I made it Annie Crow Knoll for the character of Annie.
Right.
So now that we're not Knollers, I tend to write a lot in my office. I do.
Okay, so you do have a workspace at home. Do you have
Mhm.
are you working also? You do work also besides writing, correct?
Yes.
So do you have a routine for your writing? Do you set yourself a schedule of when you're going to write?
Well, that's a hard question to answer. When I finally really get into a book, then I write any moment I have. I can't wait. But when I'm in the middle of marketing and publicizing, as I have been for Soul Dancing this current year, I've had trouble writing because it's so involved. I've learned a lot about marketing, but it's time consuming. You have to be willing to put on this business hat, and it's
And
quite different.
It's the hats we have to wear. I mean, I'm a self-published author. It's what I chose to do.
Mhm.
But the hats you have to wear, whether you're with a publisher, whether you're self-published,
Mhm.
it's you can reach burnout really quick.
Yeah,
Really quick.
really quick.
And I'm reaching burnout on the book I'm writing because
Mhm.
I want, not that I don't enjoy writing the book, but I want it to end. I'm just like, enough already.
Right.
And I've never had this issue. I mean, I keep my readers involved in when I'm writing a book, and I let them know, it's unfolding. I like what's going on. But now all they're hearing is, I'm still writing this book. I still have more chapters to write. It needs to stop. And it's like, I'm about ready to just tell my characters, shut up, go away,
Right.
we're done.
We're wrapping it up.
Wrap it up.
It's a wrap.
This is one book in a series. You've got your series. Let's do the rest in the next book. But anyways, I'm ranting about it lately. But so what about when you're writing, you're sitting down writing. Now, what about I'm complaining about the characters won't shut up? What if you're anxious to write, but you're not hearing anything? Your characters aren't talking to you. How do you deal with that?
Oh my God, that's so frustrating.
How do you deal with it?
So I have a novel that's been on the back burner for a while called Jackson's Jetty because they stopped talking to me. I just cannot figure this book out. So I have, I don't know, 30,000 words, something like that.
That's a good.
So I put it on the back burner. And pardon me?
I said that's a good chunk of a book. 30,000.
It is, yeah, and I don't want to abandon it forever, but I had to put it away. So then my husband suggested, because I was going, he said, why don't you take a look at your play, A Thing with Feathers? I think it would make a lovely novel. So I said, oh, okay, I will. So I dug it out and I reread it and I started making decisions. I started interviewing some people that I needed information from. And, I'm doing a lot of the research part. I haven't actually written a lot. I've written a little bit. Mm-hmm. One character who wasn't very likable in the original version, Jimmy DeRosa, he's like, hey, Gail, I'm a completely different person in this new version. I'm very sympathetic. I'm Willett's best friend. I'm in the closet. I got a lot of things to try to hide and protect myself from. So I'm very happy about Jimmy, that he's got this whole new thing going on. So I'm starting to really cook, and school ends next week, and I'm going to really sit down and write. And then in the middle of the night, the other book, they started talking to me, the one that's on the back burner, Jackson's Jetty. And I'm like,
Now
no,
you got to wait your turn. You got
don't
to
wait.
wait your turn.
You didn't talk to me for months and now you want to talk to me?
You
I
want
don't
to
think
push,
so.
you want to jump the line, and no, it doesn't work that way. The book you're working on now, do you have a title for it? Did you?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with A Thing with Feathers. That was the name
Okay.
of the play, and
Okay.
I really love it. I love birds. It's about the daughter of a bird rehabilitator. I may be talking to your husband for some
Yeah,
information.
he is full of knowledge when it comes to the birds.
Yeah, I really am. I'm very excited about it, and I will need more concrete information.
Right.
Like I've looked at floor plans for what a bird rehab would look like, what's in there, how are the rooms broken up, and what's the section for intake, what's the section for critical care. And so I'm in that research mode for that.
Okay, perfect. It's pretty
Yeah.
enough closer. You can come by and see the falcons.
I know.
So, but yeah, if you have any questions or need anything, reach out to me and I'll have you, message Gordon. I do want to say hi to someone on YouTube watching us. Hello there, if you're still with us. Pop running down the comments. Carol says, so excited to learn about this book.
Thanks.
And then right below her, Elaine said, it's a fabulous book. So I'm going to pop those up here. Let me see. Have you ever experienced writer's block? We just talked about that. I don't think Elaine was here when you answered this. I'm not sure. I'm going to put it up again. Is there going to be a second book to Soul Dancing?
Yeah, Tina asked that question too.
A lot of readers here. You know that, right?
Right now, that's not happening, but I'm always open. If something comes up, then I'll go with it.
Yeah, you never say never. The book you're currently writing now, do you have any kind of release date for that, or you are just getting the story written?
I'm just trying to get started, really. I've been doing research, not so much writing. So, like I said, in a couple of weeks, school's out because I teach at a college. We get out in May. Right. And my butt is in the chair and my body's going to be back to the swimming pool and nice. I'm going to be back to yoga class. I'm going to
do it all.
Just do what I want to do this summer.
There you go. And you also mentioned in your bio, of course, you love to read when you're not writing. Mm-hmm. Who are some of your famous authors? Favorite authors?
Ann Tyler. You'll see several of her books back there.
Okay.
I love Ann Tyler. Her quirky characters really influence me. I don't think my characters are as quirky, but I really like it when they're very human and very real and have, make mistakes, if you will.
Right.
I love historical fiction. Pam Jenoff has written many novels on World War II, and I very much enjoy those. She's excellent. I have a couple of, what is that book? I don't know where it went. Oh, there it is. I have some new favorite authors who are lovely women that I've met through the Women's Fiction Writers Association and also through my publisher, Red Adept Publishing. And this is, can you see it? Of Lies and Honey,
yeah.
Donna Norman Carbone. She's a teacher too. She's still teaching full time, but she's got the energy of the Energizer Bunny. This is a beautiful novel. And this is her second. Her first novel's really wonderful too. And Hope Gibbs is another lovely woman from Red Adept. There are hydrangeas on the cover, but I can't get the title. But look up Hope Gibbs.
That's excellent. Back to soul dancing.
Okay.
When you were writing this book, think about the first draft. I always go back to the first draft. What for you was the hardest part to write and the hardest character to write? Without giving too much away as far as that part.
No. It's easier to answer who's the easiest. Hattie was the easiest. Let's see. Who was the hardest? I think Cameron's brother, Chase. He's not a major character, but he's critical to the storyline. And he does show up. I didn't know he was going to show up. He just showed up, and it was like, oh my God.
Who were you?
this guy is, well, I knew who he was, but I just didn't expect him. And poor Charlene didn't expect him for sure. It was a fine line because he has unresolved addiction issues. He's not always in control of himself. He's abandoned his girlfriend who's pregnant. Cameron feels very responsible for him and wishes that he could help his brother get his life together. But I also wanted him to be sympathetic. I wanted him to be able to change. So yeah, he was a bit of a devil trying to figure out how that was going to work out.
And what about when it comes to the, I mean, you say that the book takes place in areas that you know.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any part of the book that you found difficult to write, that you had to research something that you didn't know anything about? Like in the book you're writing now, you have to research the birds and the rehabilitation areas. Is there things you found you had to research for this book?
I had to understand, I had to get a better handle on what Charlene experiences in the beginning when she's dying. So I read quite a bit about near-death experiences. And, and a lot of them really do talk about this bright light. Really? So I went with that, and then felt that she was telling me that once she decided, no, I can't die, but her body can't sustain her, she doesn't know what's going to happen to her. She ends up in this vortex, and then when she comes out of that, she's in Rain's body giving birth. So, I didn't raise a family, so I had to talk to my nieces who have recently had babies more about what it was like to have a baby. What did it feel like? What were the hospital experiences like? What was the room like? So they were lovely, especially Kim. She's a nurse too, so that helped. So she could kind of fill me in on that side too. I put it down in Rehoboth Beach, and I have not spent as much time there as I have the Eastern Shore or the Jersey Shore. So I made a couple trips down just to get a handle, pick their house. I picked Cameron's grandmother's house, which is where they spend a lot of time, by walking the promenade, checking the places where they would go to eat, and one of my favorite bookstores, Browse About Books. They go in there. And then I had a friend that lives there read. She was a beta reader, and I said, check everything with Rehoboth. Don't let me mess up. And I had them walking down the steps from the boardwalk promenade area to the beach. There are no steps. The beach is right up against it.
Okay.
So she caught that, things like that. You have to.
They will catch things that we.
Yeah, and I really hate it when I catch things that take me out of the book. So I try really hard to make sure that doesn't happen.
They do pay attention to detail. They really do.
And they should.
And I said it many times on this show. It's why I won't write historical fiction, because of the research. They'll be calling me out in every page. Because the research scares me. But I love reading historical fiction. I really do. Yeah. So you've written a total of five books published?
6 books.
6 books published. You've had the trilogy, the Annie Crow Knoll series. Do you celebrate each time you have a book published?
I've learned to.
You've learned to?
Yeah. The first 2 I really didn't celebrate. I didn't really know what the heck was happening, so I didn't think to celebrate. But then I saw other people celebrating, and I said, damn, let's have a party. So I had a party for Moonrise. I had a lovely big party. Soul dancing, I had an online party and an in-person party at my local library. That was a blast.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really nice. When I released Eastern Shore Shorts, which is a collection of short stories, and each story takes place in a different Eastern Shore town. Say that 5 million times fast. Eastern Shore Shorts. Anyway, one of the stories is about a water woman. So that's how I was very fascinated by your life. Was it 10 years that you?
That was 10 years, commercial fisherwoman, yeah.
Yeah, that is so cool. Anyway, we had a launch party at a bookstore. It wasn't quite a party, but it was still lovely. It was really nice. And then this winter, when I released A Collingswood Christmas, which is a novelette, and it's very much a love letter to my hometown.
Oh.
And those questions about whether Now all of a sudden I'm going, wait, let me backtrack. How much of myself, or my life is reflected. One of the main characters is a guidance counselor who directs the plays at the high school. I did that. And also the two main characters grew up in the town I grew up in. So there's a lot of my memories kind of thrown in there. So that one is the closest. But I didn't have a party for that because I was just burned out. I was marketing soul dancing. I got this book ready for the Christmas rush, and I was very happy with how it did, especially locally, which is what I knew would be perfect. But I was not really needing a party.
Yeah.
I'm sure I had a little champagne, but not a big blowout.
We do, you mentioned you had a party online, and we do a lot of promotions for our books online. Like we're right here, we're having a live chat. Do you do any in-person events for your books?
Oh yes, definitely. Bookstores. I froze my butt off at an outdoor holiday market last December. Gary bought me a vest that heats up with batteries. And then we got socks that heat up. It was really, I looked like the abominable snowman with all this stuff on, but I wasn't cold. So that was actually fun. I do live book clubs. I love to go to book clubs. And then I do online book clubs too. Yeah. So whatever people can handle, if I can travel a little bit, but if it's too far, we do an online one. But that goes really well too.
They do. I like to do they'll read the book and then I do a Zoom meeting with them.
That's nice. Yes, that's what I do basically.
Yeah, and we discuss, and I love doing that because you can be anywhere in the world. I can meet you after you've read the book and get your thoughts. But I love in-person events. I wish I could travel out of California. It's not cheap, unfortunately. But I do in-person. I'm doing one in a couple of weeks, and I've got 2 more coming up after that. So
good.
I try to do in-person. But the in-person events I like to do are not necessarily bookstores, but craft shows.
Oh yeah.
And shows like that. I love meeting people in person, and you just get a feel for the readers when they come up to your booth, and I just love that in-person connection. And I wish I could go to all of our readers' towns and do an in-person event. I would love it.
That'd be great.
It would be. It really would be. I want to put up a little bit more, some more comments. We're wrapping this up soon.
Okay.
Let me just scroll up a little bit. I like to involve the readers. Hold on one second. My thing doesn't want to, so I'm going to go this way. Carol says, I would definitely be putting your book on my TBR list. And I did see from Elaine Sapp, I believe she just bought the paperback. She has your ebook, but I think she said she bought the paperback.
Oh,
yeah. So, I want to say soul searching. Sorry, soul dancing. What genre do you consider this book?
I am telling you, this was where I trusted my gut. I wrote the story, and then it was like at the end, I'm going, where does this fit? Has to fit someplace. Query letters. They want you to know where your book fits. Oh, yay. So I feel like I'm always writing women's fiction because there's a personal journey for the character, and they really change and evolve by the end of the story. And that's sort of the loose definition of women's fiction. And we do struggle with that title and with the definition as a group. We really do. But I thought, what do I call this kind of body switching thing? So I did a lot of research, and it seemed like it was a paranormal event.
Okay.
So I went with paranormal. I say it's women's fiction with a paranormal twist.
That sounds fitting.
Yeah, and then some people were like, it's not paranormal. It's not really paranormal. Like, I don't know. So, and there's a super important romance. It's gigantic between them. So then I started calling it a cross-genre book. And it actually won an award from somebody. I can't remember which group right now. Has something to do with a bird. But anyway, for cross-genre, they thought, they gave it first.
They won an award for that? Well, then it sounds like you nailed it. cross
So I
genre.
think that's what it is. It's women's fiction, it's romance, and a little touch of paranormal.
Yeah, I never think about what genre I'm writing until after the book's finished. And
Mhm.
like you, my books tend to be mainly women's fiction. Then you find your sub genres from the main one being women's fiction. Then I break it down to what the book's about, like you.
Right.
Is there a genre that you want to try writing and haven't tried yet?
Historical fiction.
Oh, you're brave.
Yeah. Well, I haven't done it yet, though. We don't
Yeah.
know how brave I am yet.
I'll ask you when you've done the research, will you be writing another one?
Yeah, I do really enjoy research. And the funny thing is that a lot of historical fiction authors will say, it's fiction. It's still fiction. It's based in a time and a place, and you have to get that stuff nailed down, but it's still fiction. You can make a lot up.
Yeah, you can.
So,
Yeah, you can. Totally.
yeah.
This has been a wonderful chat. It goes by so quick, but before we wrap it up, I do have one final question for you, and then I'm going to talk about the giveaway. But the final question I ask all the authors is, what piece of advice would you give to an aspiring writer that wants to be a published author?
You need to be willing to wear different hats. You're not just going to be able to indulge your right brain. We're creative. We have characters talking to us. We're into all this fancy stuff, and it's wonderful. But you have to market your book. You have to learn how to write query letters. And if you self-publish, you still might do some querying because you're going to be looking for an editor to help you, or you might be submitting to a contest. You have all that to think about. That's marketing, and keeping your budget and knowing how to deal with your income tax. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot.
It never ends. It never ends.
And then the public appearances, either on Zoom or in person, you have to be okay with being in front of people. Now, luckily, I've been a teacher since there were dinosaurs out on the quad, so
Yeah.
it's there.
Yeah.
I really don't get nervous. Rarely, once in a while, I will a little bit, but I'm used to talking in front of people, and you have to kind of have a sense of humor. So if you say something wrong or you mispronounce something, you just laugh. You just
Hey,
go,
you just
"Oh, well, there you
laugh it
go."
out. Just laugh it
Yeah,
out.
it's
You
no
know,
big deal.
yeah, back in the day, in the the 70s and 80s, when my dad was a writer, they just went up in their little office and wrote. They didn't have to do any of this.
Mhm.
I'd say my dad didn't have it easy, but he had it easier.
Yeah.
When it came to writing. And you are going to be doing a giveaway. So thank you for that. If you want to tell our readers what the giveaway is.
It's a signed copy of a paperback. See, there you go. You just have to
see?
laugh.
There you go.
Of Soul Dancing.
So that's a signed copy. Thank you so much. And this is going to be for US only. I'm not going to ask you to ship a book overseas or Canada. Unfortunately, the shipping is way too expensive.
Okay.
And I'll be picking someone that watched the show tonight, or the live readers that have watched this. You are in the drawing for the signed paperback of Soul Dancing. I will announce it in the group in a couple of hours, and I will tag you, Gail.
Thank you.
So you can know the winner is, and I will send you the details for shipping. And I'm also doing my giveaway for the $5 Amazon gift card. Simply share this video to your favorite groups on your own personal page as many times as you like, but do tag me so I know that you shared the video, and that you are entered for the $5 Amazon gift card. Gail, amazing chat. I'll give you a couple of seconds to say goodnight.
Tomorrow. Let's talk about tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to let you say. Go.
Oh, I'm going to do an author takeover on this group, Read More Books, and it'll be Eastern Standard Time. It's 3 until 6. So it's noon until 3 for the West Coast. And if you're in the middle, you got to figure it out, because I get lost. So that'll be a lot of fun. I have some fun questions for us to all enjoy and respond to, and also some fun photographs. You'll get to see my dog, Annie. And I'll have some more giveaways.
Fantastic. So I look forward to having you in the group tomorrow. A takeover by Gail. Again, 3 o'clock Eastern Time, 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, which is me. I will be popping in to say howdy and, when I can. But I'm excited to have you tomorrow. Everybody, thank you for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And Gail, thank you so much.
Thank you. I really had a great time.
It was a lot of fun. Good night, everybody.
Good night.